are you?
I'm great, and I'm having like the weirdest feeling of deja vu that I've ever had in my entire life right now.
So
I feel like we've done this. I don't know.
We have. We've been friends for so long.
Yes.
Every conversation is a good time when we get together.
I hope you don't mind that I hugged you when I saw you, and I don't want you to think I'm easy.
I
am easy. I don't want you to think I'm easy.
I hope you didn't feel my rooster. How have you been? How's life?
Everything's great. I'm very excited for you. I know this is a dream come true for you, and I've done something. I don't know if other guests have done this, but this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I know that having your own talk show is a big deal, and it's a very busy week. And what I've done is I've prepared questions for you to ask me if you run out of questions. If there's ever an awkward pause or silence, and you feel like, uh-oh, what do I ask Bill now? I've come up with some questions. If you want to use them, they're yours.
You are a true professional.
That's just something that a friend does for another friend. That's all that is.
You know what? I have to admit, I didn't have a chance to prepare many questions.
Oh, good. Okay.
I was planning to just wing this whole thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go with your questions. Okay?
Ask away, whatever you got. Whatever. There's no limits.
Bill, I've often wondered, are you afraid of pelicans?
I'm not afraid of pelicans, like if one came up to me, but if they were to ever organize and there'd be a series of pelicans with weaponry, I would be afraid.
I could understand that. I'm so glad you solved that mystery for us. Which celebrity do people tell you that you most look like?
Avril Lavigne.
I can see that. I can see that. Which flavor of Pop-Tarts do you enjoy the most?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't want to alienate anybody in the crowd, but I do like brown sugar cinnamon. Is everybody okay with that? You like brown sugar cinnamon? Yeah.
Me too.
They're the best. I love the brown sugar cinnamon. And I know there's people out there angry. What about cherry frosted? I'm not here to anger anybody, but I do like the brown sugar cinnamon.
Can you play the accordion?
I probably could. I've never tried, but I think if somebody gave me an accordion, that's the only instrument that you don't have a player in the band on. Do you have an accordion? Bring one out. I'll try to play an accordion. I think I could probably do it.
We've been advertising on Craigslist for an accordionist. We'll give you one, we could practice. Right. Maybe we'll start it tomorrow.
You're on.
I don't want to put you in an awkward spot by asking a question that might bring out some emotion or is too personal. But
That's
Bill,
right.
Which variety of bread is the most fun to say out loud?
The variety of bread that's most fun to say out loud, pumpernickel.
I agree with that.
Everybody say pumpernickel.
That's fun right there.
They had a good time, yeah.
Name all 7 dwarves, or suffer the consequences.
Or suffer the consequences?
We take this stuff seriously.
Wow, that's a little forward. Okay, all 7 dwarves. I'm going to go with bashful, happy, doc, sleepy, sneezy, grumpy, and caca?
Yes!
Nailed them.
Which of the...
People applauded for that.
As they should.
I think he is an honorary dwarf. I like that.
Which of the Kardashians do you think has made the largest contribution to society?
Do you mean so far or eventually?
So far.
Khloe. Yeah, it'll be Courtney if you go long term, but for right now, yeah.
We're on fire here. Bill, you have very supple skin. What's your secret?
I'm not embarrassed to say this because there's a lot of guys in the audience, but I use a moisturizer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How often should a person have their oil changed?
Well, it depends, Michael. Are you talking about a synthetic oil?
Definitely.
I would say every day. I have my oil changed every day.
Is that one of the keys to your success in life?
Yes. And it costs me a lot of money, but I feel good about
I could imagine it does.
Yeah.
Is it true that between you and your brother, you could name the capital of every country in the world?
Oh, it's funny you say that. My brother and I have a special ability that between the two of us, we can in fact name the capital of any country in the world. Shout out any country in the world and I'll show you. Finland. My brother knows that one. What was the other ones? Russia. Hey, that's my brother's got that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the best advice that your parents ever gave you?
My parents said to me when I was 2 years old, and I'll never forget this, stop biting people. And I hardly ever bite people anymore.
The best lessons are learned in childhood.
Yep.
Bill, do you think that porpoises should be allowed to vote?
Oh, Michael, I get asked that a lot. Should porpoises vote? I would say not in a national election, not for the presidency in November, but on a local level, yes.
The registration deadline to vote for porpoises is coming up October 1st.
October 1.
Porpoises watching.
Have your porpoises registered by October 1st.
Okay,
That's right.
this has been very informative. So those are all the questions. Bill, thanks so much for coming on the show.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Are you excited that this is a reality? I mean, I know you've been working towards this your whole life, but you've got your own show now.
Yes, we have a show. You know what I'm most proud of? I'm proud of this incredible crew behind us, this awesome band, our wonderful audience that comes out, our camera operators, our director. It takes a lot of people to put on a show like this. And you know what the best part is?
Nope.
Right now, behind the desk, I'm not wearing any pants.
No pants for Michael. No pants.
It's one of the secrets of doing a show on late night television. You know, you are you're like me in that you're a creature of late night.
Yes.
You broadcast after hours, after dark. Is it more fun that way?
Yeah. I always used to think as a kid that the cooler kids got to stay up at night, and now I feel like that's who's listening to the show.
Yeah.
You know, it's people who are just, staying up nights for whatever reason. Sometimes they're third shifters, sometimes they just like that kind of atmosphere. I love that. It's a very romantic time to be on at night.
What's the craziest thing that's ever happened on your show?
Oh boy, every day is different. You're going through the same thing. There's no 2 days that are alike. We had an episode once where Dick Clark called in. I was interviewing Dick Clark, and my partner and I were on at the time, a girl named Jennifer, and he kept calling us Steve and Vicky. And my name's not Steve, and her name's not Vicky. And at some point you have to go, do I correct Dick Clark? That's Mr. New Year's Rockin' Eve. That's Mr. Bandstand. So for the rest of the day, I was Steve and she was Vicky.
Okay, Steve. I spoke with your producer today, and I don't think you were aware of this.
Yeah.
And I was digging for some information, and I discovered you have an enormous collection of action figures.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Do tell.
It's something that started out, I think most boys start out as a kid, you have a G.I. Joe or a Captain Action or some superhero, and eventually what happens is you grow up, and I forgot that part. I didn't grow up. So I have, in our house, there's 2 rooms full of cases full of toys.
2 rooms?
Yeah.
Like Steve Carell and 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Very much so.
And all those action figures. And what do you also collect pop cans?
I used to collect pop cans for a while, and for people whose mouths are open like this, yes, my wife couldn't be more proud. Yeah. She married an 11-year-old. Yeah.
Your show is so much fun to listen to. I've been on a number of times. It's always been a highlight for me. What is it about Chicago that makes it such a good town for radio?
We had such a great lineup for years and years and years in Chicago. I mean, everybody has their favorites, but there was never any downtime in Chicago when it came to radio. And I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and I got to listen to Jonathan Brandmeier and Stephen Gary and Kevin Matthews, and I was influenced by all those people, lucky enough to work with all of those people, actually. And I'm proud to be carrying on that tradition. Everybody in Chicago radio is always very creative. You don't realize if you go to other parts of the country, that's not always the case. But we've had a great stable of people here in town, so I've been lucky.
Absolutely. Well, Chicago's lucky to have you as well. Tom Snyder said years ago that when you're on television or in any medium, after hours, you get 2 types of viewers or listeners. You get the thinkers and the drinkers.
Right.
Which is more fun for you?
Well, we try to make, if somebody's calling in and you can tell that they're more of a thinker, we do recommend that they have a little something to drink.
Okay, loosen them up a little.
Yeah, loosen them up a little. And we get people who drink a lot, like your crowd, and we'll tell them, use your heads, So it's that magical combination of thinking and drinking that makes it work.
You have an awesome sense of humor, and a lot of people who may not know your background, you used to do stand-up.
For 10 years. I did stand-up for 10 years. Yeah.
How has that helped prepare you for radio?
Well, when I did stand-up, I wasn't doing your traditional set-up punchline type of stand-up. I would do stuff with the crowd. Whoever was in that night, that was the show. Whatever was around me, that was the show. And that's kind of the same skill set, hopefully, that I'm using on radio. Whatever the stories are that day, that's what the show is that day. I always hated the phrase stand-up routine. You always hear stand-up routine because that means it's the same thing every day. I didn't want to do the same thing every day.
when you have a guest on and you do an interview, what I love is that it's really not an interview as much as it is a conversation.
Yeah.
Are you genuinely that interested in the people you talk to?
Tremendously. I'll never live your life, I'll never live anyone else's life, but they have, and no matter who you are, you've got a story to tell. So hopefully, if I'm doing my job right, it's getting that story out of them and hearing it and expanding it and finding new directions. And it's a challenge every day. I love doing that.
Is there anybody in particular you really want to have on your show that either is coming up or you're trying to pursue?
You know what's happened, Michael, is over the years, I've made up kind of a dream list in my head, and one by one, I've been lucky enough to talk to those people. I had Dick Van Dyke on with me a year ago.
Oh, wow.
That was a dream come true. I had Bob Newhart on. I had Lily Tomlin on. I had Albert Brooks on. It's really exciting when you grow up watching or listening or seeing these people, and then all of a sudden, there they are talking to you. There's nothing better.
And you work kind of funky hours. I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of work overnight. What does a typical day look like for you? When do you sleep?
There's not much by way of sleep anymore. There really isn't. The show starts at midnight every night. It ends at 5:30 a.m. As soon as the show is over, we're already working on the next day's show. I'm scouring the internet and looking through papers and magazines and reading. We have a lot of authors on, so I read a lot of books. So there's not much by way of sleep, but at some point the adrenaline just kicks in,
Well, I'd say there's not a finer radio program on in Chicago than yours.
It's nice of you.
Absolutely love listening to you.
Thank you.
When I heard you were willing to come out and do the show, I was just thrilled.
Thank you.
Bill, please come back anytime.
Tomorrow. Let's do it again tomorrow.
I'll be here tomorrow. You want to?
You guys can make it tomorrow? Well, I'll drive up.
Want to do some chicken charades tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right. Bill Leff, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back after this. Stay with us.